I'd like to call to order the St. John Waterworks District meeting for Wednesday, March 19th of 2025. We'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start out with roll call. Furtek?
Present.
Bogorski?
Here.
Sims?
Here.
Kroll?
Here.
Schaefer? Here. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for February 19th of the 2025 Waterworks meeting. Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
Under the question? There is none. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carried. New business and old business. First item, consider approval of professional services agreement with Robinson Engineering to serve as the engineers for the Board of Waterworks for the year 2025. Looking for a motion to approve. I will comment also that they did make the changes that we requested. So,
I will make that motion.
looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Under the question?
Do you know specifically
Oh,
what
sure.
those changes were?
I thought they were in your printout. They were, one of the changes was the, who owns the documents after, anything that generate plans, things like that. All the town of St. John will own those documents and keep those documents, the originals. Robinson would be able to keep copies of those, which is very similar to the same agreement that we have with the other engineer.
Okay.
And then there was, I think that was the major point.
Yeah,
on
we
that.
struck out some lines regarding fees.
Yeah.
If something was canceled, some of those fees are just redlined, so
Yeah.
it would not apply.
You can see they're redacted.
Correct.
And that's an industry standard document, so we didn't want to start deleting paragraphs and have multiple versions floating around, so we just redlined them.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Anything else under the question? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Next item, request permission to advertise for the 2025 St. John Water Main Replacement Project. We have a presentation here from McAlpine Engineers regarding that. The floor is yours, sir.
Good evening. As you know, the company's been working on this project for some months now, and we're working to get the first project out and advertise for bids so we can get construction going this summer. Backing up, people involved in 2024 Housing Associates, and this is the next phase moving to 2025. So there are 3 roads overall that will be included in the 2025 program. This project includes 2 of them, and they involve 2 residential areas and a new installation of new 8-inch diameter pipe. One would be along Olcott, at the southern end of where the 2024 project left off. And so those limits would be 97th Lane, running along the west side of that road within the pavement, south to Homestead Acres Park. Then the Island project, Island Street, would be running from north end of School Street, all the way south to where the old Kmart, and the right behind that building is where the southern limits would extend to, and that would be a new 8-inch pipe. In the east, on the east side of the land, the existing water main is in grassy parkway, so we refer to this under the pavement not getting into the landscaping and, of course, the tax bill. And again, that process went well, and wherever we're going to do service taps or hydrants, those are replaced with new. And that's the project. Looking to get your permission to advertise, and grant that permission, I would look to create a bidding schedule so that by the next board meeting, we can be in front of you opening bids. And then the following meeting, getting a award recommendation, hopefully contract documents at the same meeting. And based on that timeline, I will be looking at early part of June, depending on the contractor's schedule, to begin construction work. So good time frame in my mind to get the project out on the street for bids.
All right. I have a question, Adam. The existing water main right now is 12-inch. Why are we going down to 8?
Then we'll have to talk about that. I thought it was an 8-inch along.
No, 12-inch.
Which street are you referring to?
The Kyleman, sorry.
Okay. You talked to, I thought that was an 8-inch.
Okay.
Is the Olcott an 8-inch?
It's currently a 6 going to an
Okay.
I just have a couple, also a couple of questions on the first sheet, or sheet 2, on the Alcott, 97th and Alcott. The depth on that, reason we're going so deep,
Well, I showed a depth of 5 foot to the top of the pipe.
okay, maybe I'm not looking at this, I'm just looking at what, on the side there, it looks like we're going from 681 down to what's that, 660?
There might be a problem with our scale, I'm sorry. On the,
Okay.
On the label, but I will do that.
Yeah, because that seems awful deep there.
No, that's
And I understand, you know, we got to get in, it looks like a storm sewer, but even that can be, we could shallow it up even if we had to, you know, sleeve it underneath it. You know, so we're not so deep there. And if you just check that on same thing on sheet 3, yeah. And then with that, is there a, I'm just looking at these quick here. Have we, on a detail sheet, have we specified in the spec or anything of what, whose make hydrant that's gonna be? Because I know Mike wants Clow. No, he doesn't, that's why.
We could certainly, this is just a standard item detail.
Yeah, but if we, when it does go out to bid, you know, that's, the contractor's gonna need to know, you know, what our spec is gonna be on that. And does it refer to, on service lines, copper or, plastic?
It's copper,
Okay,
and the intent, I was just talking to Mike about this detail earlier today. The plan would be to, and we still need to sort through some of those details, but rather than extending a new service all the way to the shut-off box, what we did in 2024 is we just tapped the new main, and then we coupled in
Okay. And then we don't anticipate any, but if they do run across a lead service line by some fluke, that gets replaced.
We had all of our lead services inventoried where we don't have any. No,
Okay,
no, that wouldn't be an issue.
okay. The other question I've got on this is, I don't know where this falls in the street resurfacing program that Gabe has. Because in the spec, there's what's it call for replacing, I think it looks like it's gonna be in the street, correct?
Yes.
You know, what's the, is that also in the bid spec then, if we're not resurfacing that street, to put in a binder, you know, grade 8 up to, you know, or 3/4 up to certain life, or certain height, and then grade 8 compacted, and then binder, and then with 2 inches of surface, or how's that?
Yeah, we have a trench detail, it's the same thing we did. We'll backfill all the stone all the way up, and then, yeah, we'll bring up the asphalt in 2 different parts.
And that with a finish on it.
Yes, yeah, binder course and surface, of course.
And the only thing we had talked about this at one of the meetings too, is in that spec, if, me personally, and I think it's better, and I think, hopefully Mike and Gabe would agree to this, that the first year it gets a binder only up to the surface, and then, or just short of the surface, and then surface on the following, because let it sit one winter.
You mean leave it down an inch?
Either that or grind it come springtime after one winter because of settlement. Typically, those trenches will settle if it's all open cut, but
Makes no difference to me, we can do that, but yeah, I see your point, and you can take care of that first year of settlement, and then, so the intent is to keep the contract open, or do it separately through a city?
well, I think that's something we would have to discuss, whether we do that or tag it on to the resurfacing contract that the town is doing, and just add that cost.
Before we go that route, maybe we go and look at Olcott, we did last year,
Mm-hmm.
to see if we see evidence of any settlement. Which case would be your point that maybe that's true. If not, maybe not. Maybe we just try to seek proper compaction and bring it up in 2 separate lists. The challenge with the narrow paving strip like this is you don't get that, large rolls on there. You have smaller equipment and your tank can get in as you know. This is like,
Right, but typically on a pavement grinder, you know, you can get a 4-foot grinder and they can grind that out, and, you know, and I knew they do know they make a paver 4-foot wide paver that some contractors have. But something that needs to probably be looked at, because,
I know, I don't believe that road, now don't quote me on this till you check with Gabe, but I don't believe that road was scheduled for resurface. I want to say that's part of the one where we're going to try the liquid road this year. Once the trench is backfilled and asphalted, gonna liquid, it's like seal coating.
right.
And I believe that is going to be part of the project, but I would have to check with Gabe on that.
And I'm not saying we have to resurface the whole street, but from my history in the past, when you open it up, and especially if some of these, depending on what those depths are, that trench is gonna settle after a winter. You just never get it compacted all the way. They do settle, and then if we're not gonna be resurfacing it for a while, you're gonna have that trench showing up in the street. You know, settlement that's gonna collect water and everything else, which is not good for the pavement, for the next, whatever the schedule is. It could be 10 years before that street gets resurfaced. So that's something we need to kinda, maybe we look at all,
Yeah, Adam had a point. We can go out there and, check the last year's job and see if there is any settling. To my knowledge, there is not, but we can go over it with a fine tooth comb and we can figure that out.
just to see that, because we're trying to get the best quality job out of it.
Yeah.
And, if we have to spend some water funds to get that trench resurfaced the following year, it should be done. I would like to, being that we just kind of got this cost to us here, I would like to hold off on one meeting before it's up to the board here, before we approve the actual going out and advertising. Because we just opened bids up also on wells 8 and 9. And we need to discuss that and make sure that we have some communication with the clerk treasurer to make sure we have the money in place for these projects. Because I would hate to go out to bid and have everybody, spend that money and everything else to what it takes to go out to bid, and when we really don't have the money to replace it at this time, or where that money's gonna come from. I just wanna make sure that we don't approve something that we're overextending ourselves.
I appreciate that. It'll give me an opportunity to straighten out 12 versus 8.
Right. We could probably have some,
I can continue to refine the drawings.
yep. And I can take a good look at it too and just see if I see anything else.
We have it, yeah.
Yep.
Consider this a review period for comments. Appreciate it.
Yep.
How much of an impact on these drawings will it be going from, you have it as an 8-inch to a 12-inch line? Will there be,
It's a pretty significant change. I apologize. I thought it was an 8-inch distribution line through their residential area.
It's a little funky in there.
Okay. We'll talk. That's a pretty large difference.
okay,
I don't have a full grasp on what that means. But what that does means it's more expensive,
right,
and so that would be something we have to.
Yeah, you'll have a little bit of savings, but very minor, because your trench backfill won't be quite as much, but at the same time, your pipe, the way pipe prices are, that may,
Underfitting.
yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Item, let's see.
Do we need a motion
A motion to defer on that?
to defer that?
Yeah, I guess we can have a motion to table the approval for going out to bid for the 2025 St. John Water Main Replacement Project.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Under the question, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Accounts payable, next item, payment of bills, accounts payable voucher dated March 19th, 2025, representing payment for payroll, supplies, services, and equipment rendered to the Water District in the combined total of $29,777.21. Looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second. Under the question, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Item B, accounts payable voucher dated March 19th, 2025, representing payment for payroll, supplies, services, and equipment rendered to the water utility in the combined total of $1,008,434.35. Looking for a motion to approve.
Just real quick.
So moved.
You know what? I'm going to request, now that I just seen something here, can we do these in reverse, items B and C?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I have a question on, there's something on item C before we approve that. So with that, let's, we'll go with item C first and then come back to B. Consider approval of one request to purchase for Core Main in the amount of $84,119.92. I have a question on that. Mike, I don't know if you would know or not on this. Is that for the full amount of $84,119.92? The way I'm seeing it through the vouchers and stuff, it looks like stuff may have been, part of this may have been approved and paid for already, and then there's just an additional $6,396. I don't know if you've seen this or not.
Just now looking at it, yeah.
And I know it's on the, I believe it's on the claims list here for the full 84, and that's why I'm,
There were some credits due for things that were ordered that were not used. This got real messed up with the contractor, and there were things on here that we caught. I mean, we've been dealing with this for months. And things on here that weren't even on our job lists. They had hot tap valves for other things, and it got real messed up with the contractor going in and ordering on our account.
okay.
Mike, I think they were worried about us on 9/18, we approved, 77,723, okay? And it's got the same PO number on the front for 73,723 again. So that's where the question is.
I got you. We would have to check on that, and I'd have to get back to you.
It would be the board's pleasure to remove this item from the claims list until we get clarification from the town manager or the clerk treasurer on what's been paid and what hasn't. So we're not approving possible double
Yeah,
payment.
that would be a question for them, yeah. I'm not sure what has been paid. I do see the one here that for the, like Greg said, 77,723.85.
Okay. So, if that, I guess I need a motion for that to remove the request to purchase for core main in the amount of $84,119.92.
I motion to approve to remove that from the bill, from the payment.
Looking for a second?
I will second.
Under the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Yeah, if you got one quick.
Double check.
Four, 35 minus. Let me see, what is it?
84,
4,
1,
2,
1.
3, 4.
No, 84, 119, 92.
No, 84, 2,
So
3.
it's on the claims list.
Oh, the claims list. Well, that'd be different. 84, 119.
Correct.
119.92. The total is 924.
Okay, item B. Accounts payable voucher dated March 19th, 2025, representing payment for payroll, supplies, services, and equipment rendered to the water utility in the combined total of $924,314.43. Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'm sorry, looking for, motion to approve.
Kim,
Second,
I will second.
under the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. All right, reports and correspondence. Robinson Engineering.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had the bid opening for the well houses on last Friday. We're all on the same page here.
Warning or what?
It's a warning.
Can't blame anybody, everybody got it.
Yeah, really. I guess consider us informed.
Yeah. So I'm not sure, I did send a letter for your packets. Did you get the bid review letter in your packets? Okay, so in either case, Grimmer Construction was the lowest, most responsive bidder. Both bids were all there, everything was in order, math was correct. So either if the town's gonna go with the base bid or the base plus the alternate, that would be 8 plus 9. Grimmer would be the contractor. So if you were to do both of them, about $3,131,000. So I'm not sure how that works between the town council and the water board. Does the board recommend to the council and the council awards, or it's set up to go however you want to make it work?
I just have some discussion on it. I think we need to kind of, one is we need to find out, make sure we have the money in place for it, which will get some confirmation from the clerk treasurer and the town manager regarding that, and see if we can do both 8 and 9, or if we can only do one, or we don't have the funds to do any, or all the funds, so we need to have that spelled out to the board. And how many, did you only receive the 2 bids?
Yes, we did. Yeah, everyone else we reached out to said that they were just the workload. We also reached out to Thieneman and Bowen, and they both cited, a large backlog already, that they wouldn't have time to get this in, this construction season.
I'm gonna pause the meeting here. What was that warning?
That's the
Tornado
Right, I
warning.
know, but did they see anything? Did it say anything?
I just got
tornado
a-
warning till 6. And that
Mine
was
says severe thunderstorm.
Because normally they don't set the siren off, do they? Oh,
Mine just sent a Lake County tornado
Okay.
warning.
You said
Mine's a
tornado?
tornado warning, yeah.
Yeah.
Mine just said thunderstorm.
No, mine said tornado
make
warning.
sure we don't have
Oh,
to
now
take
it's
cover here,
tornado.
so.
Yeah.
Well, that next door neighbor.
Okay, we'll continue on unless we
Get blown away.
hear some.
Do we need to go in the basement,
We need
Billy?
to look outside and see what's going on.
Or do we need to go home, put our cars in the garage so no hail?
If somebody feels uncomfortable, and they want to stop the meeting and take shelter, let me know and we'll do that.
What we need to do is move a little faster.
We will, so.
What about the next group?
So, back to the bids for wells 8 and 9. I'm not familiar with Grimmer. Do you have history, or did they have any projects they've done like this before, or?
They have. I don't have as much experience with their, pump station type crews, but I've worked on many water and sewer underground projects with them. They're always a good reputable contractor.
And did they list their subs or anything like that?
They did not.
Okay. I think that's something we need to find out who they plan on using for subs.
Okay.
On the work.
I can reach out to them and ask, get a list.
And also, Mr. President, and I'm just jumping in, but Wells 8, the bid for both of them, Wells 8 and 9, Wells 8 will give you a breakdown of where that's getting paid out of.
Okay.
And Well 9 was bid as an alternate.
Right.
But we'll get you those funding, where it's
Yes.
getting funded from. And I'll
Okay.
make that available in the next couple of days to you.
And then once we have that, how that's being paid for, that'll determine how the board approves or makes a recommendation to, if we're approving it all, or if it's an approval for a recommendation to the town council, but that's depending on how
Yep.
that's gonna be funded.
Yeah.
So, you
So
know,
that's under your review.
yeah, but I don't know if there was enough money in the bond to cover
It's
it all.
pretty much
So-
all there, so you
You'll
can
have that
send it up as
breakdown.
a recommendation, I'll have that breakdown for you then, if there's any funds that need to be taken out of somewhere else, then we can send it to the council for the remaining, but for the portion that's coming out of the bond, you guys can approve it.
Okay. With that, bid bond was part of that bid, correct?
Yeah, each contractor has a 10% bid bond. We always give them the option of a check, but rarely does anyone do the checks anymore.
Right. And then was that time frame on that?
I want to say we had well 8 as being operational by September, and then final restoration by October. And then the way it's written is that the contractor starts 9 if you were to do the alternate once 8 is operational. So I think 9 has maybe an operational due date of May of 26. So we could get, through the winter and all the restoration in the spring.
Okay. And regarding the bid bond, is that good for 60 days or do you know?
I think if you read the front end specs, it's 45 days. They can, really, after 45 days, they can withdraw their bid without losing their bid bond.
Okay. And when is the town council? Do they meet?
Next week.
Next one.
So they would meet the following Wednesday after we would meet, so we'd have plenty of time then.
For reviewing it, yeah.
Yeah, that and, so if we approve it and if it had to go to the town council, they would do it then on on that Wednesday then. Okay.
Mr. President, on the email that sent out just recently, $734,795.84 is in that fund.
Right, so that's why I want to see where the,
So
And again, it's various funds that we're.
Right, that's
so
why-
I get them all those to you.
that's all, we just need a breakdown of where it's coming from.
Okay.
All right, anything else from Robinson?
Just curious if the board had any comments on the building that we looked at last week for the altitude valve at Kilkenny. We could do kind of like we did with the wells, sit down, have a final review of the plans and get those out to bid also. We had 2 options that we kind of reviewed. One was a pre-finished building, and then the other one was the unfinished, where we would have in the specs that, a mason would come and make the brick face to match all your other water buildings.
Yeah, the only comment I had on that was, what type of foundation were they gonna put on that, or was it, I know it says.
Yeah, it's like a slab.
But typically, you would still have to have something underneath that slab, which, you may have to provide a,
Yeah, there's like spread, like little footings. I think there's a detail on the plans I should have, but I'll make sure that the structural things addressed just like it was in the well houses.
yeah, because, even like with a garage, you have to have some type of footing on it, so. And then as far as having a brick mason come out afterwards, in my opinion, you're better off, one, if it's a pre-built building, either from Usemco or somebody else.
That's exactly what it is, yeah.
Or somebody else that does them, to me, let them do the whole thing and not do a separate brick masonry.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on, where it was, we like the well houses to look nice because they're in residential areas. This is kind of tucked back. There is a park there, but you're not like in anybody's backyard directly.
Yeah,
Also the
and
cost.
now,
The cost was almost negligible. I mean.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
probably 20 grand or so to get the nice brick.
Which really isn't that much on it.
Yeah, of a,
Yeah.
$400,000 project.
nowadays, the way they build them, you can get facades that look exactly like brick. It's almost a brick concrete material.
Like a veneer.
You would never know that it's not brick.
Okay. That's all for me.
Okay. Public Works, any reports?
The generator for well 8 has been delivered to the electrician, I guess you'd say, and it's ready to go. We're still waiting on the transfer switch.
Okay. Anything from the town manager?
No reports at this time.
Anything from the board members? Nope. Public, anything from the public? All right, looking for an adjournment, motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second, to adjourn the St. John Waterworks District meeting for Wednesday, March 29th, or March 19th, 2025. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.